Mr. Anup Wadhwa. He is the Director of Automation Industry Association. He is an alumnus of IIT Delhi, from where he completed his bachelor degree in technology in electrical and electronics in 1975. His passion for digital electronics started in college that later took him an exciting career in the field of industrial automation. Today, Mr. Wadhwa will give us a brief view on Industry Evolution 3.0 and beyond, de-risking fresh investments with prior skilling and affordable starting measures of SMEs. So delegates, let's welcome Mr. Anup.
So at the outset, I will speak about the IIT DAIA Foundation for Smart Manufacturing, and also explain the reason why I'm going to talk in the context of that and not just limit as a spokesperson of the Automation Industry Association. This foundation is a joint initiative of the Government of India, notably the Department of Heavy Industry, IIT Delhi, and Automation Industry Association. And as the name suggests, it's a foundation, it's a not-for-profit entity, and it is meant to enable smart manufacturing in India. We call it the Samarth Udyog Initiative. Samarth Udyog, as you can see from the logo in the middle, is an initiative to transform Indian industry from the traditional mechanical gear making kind with pollution to a green industry with cloud connectivity and with man and woman both sharing center stage on the shop floor. So that's the new type of industry which we are aspiring, and this is one step which we are doing together. So with that backdrop, let me start. Now, the topic given to me was to speak about the transition from Industry 3.0 to 4.0 and even maybe touch upon 5.0. I want to set the context a little clear that 3.0 or 4.0 are not destinations. These are practices, industry practices, technology adoption. And if you see the kind of industry our country has, we have a mix of industries. Many of them would be definitely at the level of adopting the 3.0 technologies, which is automation, electronic control systems, and computerization. But there will be some of them who will be below the 3.0, so we could probably call it 2.0. Nevertheless, since 4.0 has arrived, the technologies are being spoken about every day, we must take cognizance and find a method to adopt those practices. Another myth I want to dispel in the beginning is that Industry 4.0 is not a particular technology. When you hear speakers from different companies, they will obviously speak about the technology they bring to the table. But it is actually the interplay of these technologies or the concurrent use of these technologies which really will bring the fourth revolution. We call it Industrial Revolution number 4. So let me quickly run through this list. These are the broad categories. The most common is the Industrial IoT or IIoT, which really is the bedrock of the cyber-physical integration. And then we have the new range of human-centric robots. We call them collaborative robots. Mr. Kantur will speak at length on this topic. We have the smart sensors, actuators, and controllers, which is one step forward from the traditional automation industry. But very interesting, we also have a great connectivity with the engineering domain or the design domain. So no longer is manufacturing considered divorced from the design stage. And we have rapid prototyping and testing as one of the forerunners. You can have 3D printing as one of the technologies under this bucket. We have another very interesting set of technologies. We've all heard of AR, VR, but the use of augmented reality in manufacturing brings another dimension of having experts replicated by just the knowledge coming in to the point of actual work. And then we have the very high-end digital twin concept or the advanced simulation concept, where you can have the entire physical machine modeled as its digital twin, and you can make changes and see the adjustment, what is required when parameters change, when conditions change. Then we have the new generation of analytics or manufacturing operations management, which has a lot of connectivity. It has precision dashboarding, and more important, it makes data available on the move. So you can now get to control your plant from your mobile or your iPad. Remote maintenance, I have touched upon with AR, but you have other areas of impact, virtual and remote commissioning, and you have a very high range of wireless sensors and instrumentation and networks come in. Safety, whether it is the traditional safety or it is the digital avatar in terms of cyber security, these are also very important aspects. So as you can see that there are more than a dozen, some people, some consultants call it 9, some call it 10, some call it 12. But the point to take back is that it is really the interplay of multiple technologies which sets us on the journey of Industry 4.0. I mentioned about this digital dashboard, and this really is the new excitement about manufacturing, that you can actually control multiple plants sitting from your boardroom or your bedroom. Now, what does all this really mean to us, and why are we discussing this? We all have seen the disruption which has been caused by the coronavirus. The pandemic disrupted not only individual businesses, but they also disrupted entire supply chains. Now that was a business disruption, a human disruption, and it had its own scale of impact, and it broke the myths of our weak systems. We could not hide anything under the carpet. If we didn't have robust health systems, if we didn't have robust oxygen supply, all that came to the fore. Similarly, when we talk of a technology disruption, we've got to see how everyone is going to get impacted. And in everyone, I have tried to create this diagram. Maybe something will get missed out. But the important thing is to see that you will be having machine builders, line builders, you'll have consultants, and you'll have cyber security providers, you'll have a cloud platform and cloud solution providers, you'll have networking products, and you'll have IT systems, all which have driven their business in the pre-Industry 4 era. They're all jumping on this bandwagon, and they'll all be coming with new ways to solve problems. Now, the collective impact of this really needs to be seen. How is it going to disrupt talent? How is it going to disrupt education? How is it going to disrupt the B2C business? How is it going to disrupt the conventional role of a distributor? And how is it going to actually disrupt the engineering business and the manufacturing business which we are talking about. So a disruption is usually seen with a lot of scare, but now that we have seen the biggest scare come out of it, we can also look at it as an opportunity for us to clean out the old garbage and replenish it with new and enthusing technologies. I'm going to speak a little about India and macro. So the point I'm trying to say here is that in the Economic Forum presentation 3 years back, when Industry 4.0 was talked about by almost every country, we started somewhere in 2016, but somewhere in 2018, all the countries had really taken serious note, and this was the business leaders' favorite conversation at the World Economic Forum. There it was, India's position was placed, and we said that, in terms of our readiness, we are somewhere scoring between 4, 5, and 6 parameters. And the vulnerability was very stark. And as you can see, the top right quadrant, India was placed in the legacy quadrant. Now, legacy quadrant means that you inherit a lot of conventional industry, and we are used to this industry in all regions of India. In the north, you have Faridabad. In south, you will have Coimbatore. In the west, you will have Aurangabad and Jalgaon. And, so these are the traditional industries which were set up decades ago with whatever technology was available, whether it was 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. And these companies are at risk. Why they are at risk is because they have inherited a lot of old equipment. And what does old equipment do? Let me read out what the UNIDO report has said. There are 3 important points which I would like to place before the audience. And this is not only speaking about India, it is also speaking about the other countries, including European countries. Notwithstanding the progress achieved so far, the networked manufacturing sector remains an aspiration. That is what Industry 4.0 actually talks about. Networked machines, everybody having an IP address. Most existing efforts are still at the infancy stage, with no single country yet being able to fully transform significant parts of its manufacturing base. The second point is the complexity and the very technical understanding of Industry 4.0 is an obstacle to its success. Potential adopters, particularly SMEs, have a difficult time endorsing it. And the uncertainty surrounding Industry 4.0 means that trial and error is the basic foundation for incremental and cumulative policy making, validated through close monitoring and continuous adjustment. Now, with this kind of a warning, let us see what are the implications for the individual manufacturer if he is an SME. I have listed 6 challenges. It is not that these 6 come in sequence. Many of them are talked about and recognized concurrently. The awareness and the relevant use case to adopt, the economic risk for a small scale, the availability or lack of budget, external funds, subsidies, and the knowledge within the organization to move from basic measurement and beyond into knowledge management. Also, the competence to manage the core automation and the ability to scale it across the entire manufacturing from raw material to the output. And lastly, it is the culture of delegation and transparency, because visibility and a single source of data is the cornerstone of Industry 4.0. So these are the multiple challenges for an SME. Now, I would like to now bring back and reconnect my opening slide where I spoke about the government, academic and industry partnership. As you can see that nations are now seized of this emerging landscape. In fact, the economics, the GDP of these countries will be fueled largely by the manufacturing leadership. And in the recent seminar at the CII National Convention, Prime Minister Modi spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat from the point of manufacturing. So our traditional manufacturing area as well as the emerging area of electronics manufacturing, which are core to most of our needs for products and services, are at the risk, and also they offer an opportunity to all the ecosystem players to come together. As you can see, we have our Indian flagship under Samarth Udyog. China has their leadership mandate called Made in China 2025. The Americans have it as a manufacturing innovation, advanced manufacturing partnership 2.0. And the Germans, of course, have it Industry 4.0. The Make in India and the Digital India together have to produce this magic. And this magic has to produce people empowered, which brings me towards the end of my presentation. The goal of technology adoption, if it is clear to the enterprise, the manufacturing enterprise, then we say that our foundation sees them as potential candidates for partnership. Now, what are those qualities? Basically, there are 2 or 3 qualities. A, that your goal in terms of productivity, quality, reliability, safety, traceability should be clear in your mind. The gap analysis should also be done, and the identification of return on investment should be clear, if not across the board, at least on 1 or 2 of your mother machines. If that is the state of the enterprise, then we propose to help them get started with some very, very fundamental parameters. One of them, which I propose today, is called the OEE, which is the overall equipment effectiveness. Now, this is a parameter which cuts across availability, performance, quality, and therefore it is, to my mind, the single most transparent metric on which a company can actually predict whether it will be out of business or it will be in business, whether their costs are going to be met from their own profit or will the customer be willing to pay them, whether they will be able to meet the norms of an emerging global supply chain or they'll fall by the wayside, whether they'll be able to readjust their machine to cater to a jump in a new variant from the marketplace. So if that is adopted, we propose a series of hand-holding steps because we believe this is very essential. We have the mandate, we have the support of technology companies from the industry. We have the support of the think tank from IIT Delhi. We have set up very smart cyber physical facilities. And we will be able to take people on that step.
Mr. Anup,
instead of paying money first time, we would request you to have your people come, train yourself, de-risk yourself, and then go on this part. The smarter the people, the faster we can run. That's my core message. Thank you very much.